brother for like a day. That's what those 4 trophies are. He was playing that for a bit.
Alex, are you joining us too?
This is what happens. You guys record at 10 o'clock and not 7. You get everybody showing up.
Well, Alex said he couldn't make it.
Well, we just got back. We left a little arcade expo at like 8:45, and we had to stop and get dinner. So I wasn't really sure if we could make it. But we got here. And, I didn't want to stall everybody because I know we have guests, and we don't want to keep people up super late, especially before Easter. So
no, I set up the whole show without you being here. Now I have to scramble. Give me a second.
No, let's roll. Let's roll.
What? I can't roll yet.
What has to? Okay, number one, stop sharing your screen so we can actually see our guests on our Skype.
You were right. This was yes.
To start recording, Tricky has for 5 seconds silent. When he starts counting down from 5, we're going to 3, 2, 1, and then he starts the show. It'll allow us to eliminate background noise.
I lowered my recording level up to 100 before I record nothing. There we go.
The one thing we do recommend and warn is make sure if you're using headsets that there's no bleed through to your microphone, because we've had guests that do that, me included.
Yeah, just do a test run and just have one of us talk. Just hit record, have one of us talk, and then for like 10 seconds, and then play it back. If you cannot hear us, then you have
I'm just recording my microphone and that's it, so I'm keeping it simple.
All right, how are you hearing us right now? Because I don't see headphones on or anything. Okay.
He's got an earpiece.
Okay.
Subtle.
And Hector's got, pretty decent headset that looks like it doesn't link through.
Yeah, I just recorded you guys. We're good.
All right, we're good. Alex, you good to go?
yeah, no, I mean I got it asked yet, and everything should be good.
Are you using a camera right now?
I'm not. I don't want to. Obviously, the 6 people in a room. I don't want to come up the words, So, and I don't want to set it up because I don't want to. Like I said, I don't want to keep everyone here later than we have to be. So let's just go ahead and go.
Proud of you.
No, you guys.
I jumped the gun on it.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
I'm kidding. I'm just messing with you.
Now the problem is we can't count from 5, so we don't want people to know that, so we have to stall.
3, sir. 3. Let me read the holy hand grenade of anti-instructions before we do this.
Right now.
Yes, please.
You shall count to 3. No less. The Reaper.
I just said no to update. I turned on Audacity and said, you want to update? I said, you know what? I'm not trying it tonight.
Ray's just making me do TikTok stuff that's infecting my computer with garbage.
Tricky is getting into the TikTok.
But it
He
works.
loves TikTok. Tricky loves the TikTok.
Test.
He's a stop holder.
All right.
My computer just keeps asking what the fuck is wrong with my head when I just open the TikTok and say, you sure you really want to do this?
Matt,
Something.
you want to say something? All right. Everybody's good? Everybody's recording? 5 seconds silence. 5, 4,
for criticizing Super Earth technology. The problem is when we take Tricky on a mission and he sits there and stares at the bugs for a good 5 seconds instead of, shooting them like you're supposed to do. And then he complains when we're killing the bugs, taking them out before he has a chance to kill them.
Listen,
I'm like, you don't hesitate.
All I can tell you is that it sounds like this is the reason why friendly fire exists in this game.
Look, I don't want to dump on Tricky any more than everyone has already done, but I offered Tricky very graciously. I offered to give him my grenade launcher, a very, very useful weapon in the game, and he said, "Nah, no thanks."
Hold on a second.
Oh my God.
I said no to the grenade launcher because I want to get used to the game before I start using a grenade launcher that could potentially blow up my teammates.
Go ahead.
That is the game. You kind of nailed it.
There's always more soldiers. Don't worry about it.
My
No.
favorite.
Well, I just didn't want to be like
people
Matt
delivering-
and turn everybody on fire. That's all I did. I didn't want to start
My
friendly
See, now
fire.
you're just
favorite was
upset, Matt.
we were delivering a hard drive, and I'm over here like defending our flank. Tricky runs over. He's like, "Hey, come over here. We got a bunch of bugs." I'm like, "Where?" He goes, "Over here." So I follow him, and there was a wave of bugs coming. So I join in, and I'm shooting, and I'm like, "Aren't you gonna fire?" He's like, "Well, I'm carrying the hard drive." I'm like, "You got a sidearm. Use it."
I didn't know that.
Did you pay attention to basic training at all?
It's extremely
No.
thorough.
There was no carrying tutorial in basic training.
It's the most important 5 minutes of your career. You don't need anything more than what basic training gave you. Are you again questioning what Super Earth has given you?
Yes.
I'm definitely questioning the shields they give us because they're shitty shields.
Well, when you stand around and get shot, yeah.
My arm should not hurt inside of a shield.
Okay, Tricky, here's the thing. You talked about not knowing when you're carrying the SSSD, you said not knowing that you can shoot with your sidearm. The thing is, if you had tried to defend yourself using L2 to fill up the aiming mechanic, you would then know that you would be shooting with your sidearm instead of your primary.
We're moving
So-
on. Ray, what have you been playing, sir?
Oh, I'm the one thing I've been playing Brawlhalla again just because I'm waiting for multiverses to come out. I'm big on the
Multiverses is
platform
out, isn't
jumpy-
it?
What?
Multiverses is out, isn't it?
No, it's coming back out in May. That's the official launch. That we had the beta for like a year.
I just downloaded it.
You can download it and you could probably play it offline, but it's not the online version.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't play multiverses online.
My apologies.
But yeah, so I'm back on that. I like the jumpy 2D fighter games. So I'm playing Brawlhalla because that game somehow never dies, and then I'll play multiverses in May, and that's where the focus is.
Yeah, May 28th. And Dan, what are you playing, sir?
Well, this is going to take a minute because I'm diversifying. I was trying to keep myself to one game per system. I'm not doing a great job of it right now. I'm an unquestioning patriot, so I of course am doing my part for Super Earth. But again, we're done with that. Yeah, of course, there's the time, especially with the kids and Channel 3 folks playing Fortnite. But besides that, I'm trying to balance my time. I want to do more playing of Baldur's Gate 3, but I was saying to Matt before we started recording, I need more time. That's a game that I can't take less than an hour and a half for a stretch for, and I just don't have hour and a half stretches. So I broke my one game per system rule, and I cracked Horizon Forbidden West. I beat Zero Dawn earlier this year, and man, I gotta tell you, the graphics upgrade for the 5 is just fantastic for that game. And I've been loving being back in it. I love everything about it. The quality of life upgrades are fantastic for it. And then over in Switch country, I decided I'm going back. I went back and started playing Final Fantasy again, and I'm just excited to be back in the original. I mean, it's weird to see how far it's come, but I'm just glad to be back in old school RPG territory.
That's it.
Which Final
Oh no,
Fantasy?
you know what? I forgot one. I'm gonna do one more thing. You know what I've been doing? I've been playing on, strangely enough, on the handheld. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
Yeah.
Just a silly little one, and again, just a good time, just a quick little appetizer of a game, but worth checking out. It was a free Epic game at some point last year that I was like, I'll go take a crack at it.
All right, and Matt.
Some more Helldivers 2. Some I finally actually started playing Dragon's Dogma 2, as well as some Ratchet and Clank Going Commando on the Steam Deck, and some Final Fantasy 1 on the Game Boy Advance.
Wait, Ratchet and Clank is a PC game or is it a hack?
I played the 5th.
Okay. I threw you off a second.
What is he, a cop?
No.
Tricky,
Dan,
back to your narking ways?
No,
Are you narc?
me and Matt have our differences and opinions when it comes to certain things.
Dan, you know this. I never put anything down on paper or on voice recording that I do not want presented to me in court.
I don't know what you're talking about, Matt.
And I've been playing Suicide Squad because they just released season 1 with the Joker.
How does it feel starting over from level 1?
I didn't start over from level 1.
Evidently, to get Joker, you have to start from scratch again.
Yes and no. You don't. Your characters don't drop in level, but you have to build the world back up. I did. I'll get into that in a second. Playing some more of the Division 2. I fired up DCUO because they just released a PlayStation 5 version of it and popped some easy trophies. And I think that's. And then I got 3 platinums, but they really don't matter. We're not going to talk about those. I expected some kind
I'm glad to hear that because our time is very valuable.
And I also played some Helldivers and some Horizon Forbidden West.
Well, he showed up for Helldivers.
He was in the game.
Yeah, he was in the game.
We did one mission before Matt had to go to sleep.
No, whoa. No,
don't blame this on Matt. It
I'm
wasn't
blaming it on.
Matt who-
No, I was coming back for more, and apparently Matt had to go take a nap. So I'm blaming
Well,
Matt.
I had to take the dog out. You had to do your thing. Yield had to do something real quick, and I was like, I'm not waiting around for this anymore. My time. I need to go do stuff.
So-
I have to get up early for work the
So
next
who's
day.
the real? Who's really guilty of treason, leaving the battlefield when leaving a man behind?
I just jumped into a different mission because I wasn't going to sit around and wait for Tricky to go use the bathroom.
Yeah,
we'll look at the kill counts. We'll ask who's really treasonous.
We were told that Tricky was going to be gone for an undisclosed amount of time, but it was going to be a lengthy amount of time. So it's not like he said, I'll be back in 10.
Okay, everybody. I had to take a shit, okay? Forgive me.
We didn't.
Yeah,
I don't know why
We
you
did
had to share
not need
that.
to go into detail.
Everybody's hating around it. Just say it. Tricky had to go take a shit.
You know,
Dan, Tricky would be a very easy interview. Just be aware.
I think
yeah.
true patriot
comment.
would have their toilet at the ready where they could
Well,
play still.
If I was really in the battlefield, I would have dug a hole and take a shit in the hole, but I couldn't do that. So
A true patriot wouldn't have wasted his time digging a hole, would have just done it and carried on with the mission.
Exactly.
True
That's
patriots
me.
wear diapers.
all right, let's move on. Let's go to our topics because we're
I
gonna.
feel bad.
Hey,
This
Alex,
is
I
a
guess it doesn't
parasocial
matter
thing for me,
what you
Tricky.
play
I'm
or
sorry.
what.
True patriots wearing diapers reminds. That's like South Park. South Park playing. Oh my gosh, World of
Make
Warcraft.
love, not war. Playing World of Warcraft.
Don't bring up
that's a
South
big
Park.
boy.
Don't bring up South Park right now because apparently that game is bombing.
I heard.
All right, let's go to our topics. Our first topic,
So you don't care what Alex and I played this week?
I asked you guys. I started with you guys.
No, you didn't. You asked us how we were doing. You didn't ask
He
us.
did ask Alex. I don't recall if he asked Yield or not.
No, he didn't.
Yield, I'm sorry.
Six people on the screen's a lot of juggling.
Yield, I'm sorry. I thought I hit you up. I apologize.
No.
Yield, what are you playing?
It acts like we've done this show for the first time.
Yield, what are you playing?
So
Jesus Christmas.
I've played some World of Warship Legends. I played some Lego 2K Drive, working towards the platinum on that. Of course, I played some Helldivers 2, spreading managed democracy one planet at a time. I've played some Skull and Bones, and I've also spent a lot of time in Borderlands, the pre-sequel, marching my way towards level 50 and another platinum.
Well, I got to ask Yield, are you looking forward to the Borderlands movie?
It's a dumpster fire. I can guarantee that, but I'll watch
When has
it.
a movie that's had 2 named directors ever been a dumpster fire? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, what are we going for in this movie? We're already not going anywhere near the baseline of the game because we're taking characters from Borderlands 1, we're taking characters from Borderlands 2, we're taking a DLC character from Borderlands 2, and looks like we're telling the story from the very beginning.
But at least
This is why Eli Roth was done with it halfway through.
This is why I have an issue with it.
At least
You
they
know,
have Moxie, though.
I enjoy Tiny Tina as a character, but I don't enjoy her enough to be a main character. If we're telling from the beginning of the movie, I want my Roland, I want Brick. That's who I want. But
Yield, at least you have Moxie though.
Huh?
At least you have Moxie though.
I at least have Moxie. I was going to be damn pissed if I didn't see Moxie. So the trailer did at least show me Moxie.
Did you notice that the everybody has their actor named for them or headlined, except the actor for Krieg? Just saying.
Oh,
they felt it important enough to put him in the movie, but get his name on the marquee? No.
All right. Actually, I said I was going to bring up Suicide Squad before. So quickly, I can't justify this decision, but apparently the way Suicide Squad works is there's different Earths, obviously. So you go through the game and
there's different Earths.
Yeah.
No wonder the game bombs.
So in order to get Brainiac, you actually do these missions where you go to another Earth and then you do these incursions and then you come back and blah blah blah. With the launch of the DLC, it's weird because it asks you from the start, do you want to go into that world or do you want to go into Joker's world? And as Matt alluded to, you have to build up your level, your world level, up to level 35 before you're able to go attack the second Brainiac, because there's 13 Brainiacs in 13 different worlds, in order to rescue Joker, who's actually from the second world. So you go through Joker's world, building yourself up to level 35, and then you go face Brainiac. But when you go face Brainiac, you actually get transported to a different Earth to fight him. So it's weird. So Matt's right on the fact that you got to build your world up, but you don't. Your character levels all stay the same. You don't start from level 1 again in a different world. But it is a little bit of annoying. I can't justify that choice because it doesn't make sense to me at all. Because if I go back to the original world, I can't progress towards getting Joker.
So over under, is Suicide Squad done before we reach World 4 or World 6? What's the spread here?
Well, right now they're planning 13, so
yeah, exactly. And how long before they say
four
we've
probably built, Matt?
we've done an analysis of the in-depth, and unfortunately we cannot sustain the player count and development time anymore. So this season will be the last, and as a result, that's just the announcement that's going to come out after season 4.
I will say that I have not unlocked Joker yet, but I've watched gameplay of Joker. He is very OP. Very OP.
So I want to make a point here. As we, 13 is a hell of a number to pick because as we learned from Ghostbusters, a lot of hotels don't have a 13th floor because of superstition. So if you're going to pick, 13 prospective DLC packs, that's not a good sign from the start.
No. All right, let's go into our topics. Our first topic, as is customary on the first show of the new month, is our PlayStation Plus games, coming from IGN and written by Michael Kripe. Our April 2024 PlayStation Plus games are Immortals of Avion for the 5, Skull, the Hero Slayer for the 4, Minecraft Legends for the 4 and the 5. Sweet Mama D's going to be happy about that. And all games will be available by the time you are listening to this show. Thoughts on the games, Matt?
I heard Immortals is a dumpster fire on top of another dumpster fire. So more high quality games as Jimmy Ryan goes out the door. Skull, the Hero Slayer, looks like it has some weight behind its swing. And then Minecraft Legends is Minecraft. It'll do well regardless.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to try Immortals. We'll see. I don't know. My kid is excited, my son in particular, for Minecraft Legends. He liked playing whatever the other one was that was the same kind of style. So I'm just happy, again, I did not waste any money and figured it was coming around eventually. So happy to see. And, at the least Immortals goes into the backlog, if nothing else, right?
And Ray?
As technology gets better and better, I continue to want to play more and more 2D games with as minimal graphics as possible. So anything roguelike or like Metroidvanias, like I'm gonna give it a shot now. That's what I want to play. And Minecraft Legends is, I'm very happy for all the Minecraft people. And I see a game with super high graphics, and the first thing I hear is that it's a mess. So like the AVM game just means nothing to me.
Yield?
I'm looking forward to next month.
and Alex.
I mean, I still haven't played Sifu, so I got stuff to play. No, I mean, I've never been interested in Minecraft, and I don't know. I'm not gonna crap on the other two games because I don't know anything about them. So I'll take a look at what they are. I mean, I'll at least add stuff to my library, and I'll look at the trailers and stuff because you never know. Sometimes there's hidden gems amongst the PlayStation Plus lineup, but nothing that specifically strikes me as something I have to play as soon as these become available.
You said it was a dumpster fire, man. I'm looking at the ratings. It's getting 7s and 8s out of 10s.
Okay.
Were you thinking about the right game?
So did Suicide Squad.
It had
No, Suicide Squad got 6s and 7s.
It did have a very rough launch as far as graphics were concerned. It did have like initial issues. I think they patched it up pretty quickly, like within a month at most. So yeah, Matt's not wrong about that, but it's also not a game that caught everybody's attention. It's probably going to be one that catches the wave of the PlayStation Plus. Is going to help it, but it wasn't the strongest of release. It's like a 70 on Metacritic or something, I think.
Yeah. When I saw this on a showcase or something, I was interested, but because it was first person, I was never going to give it a shot. But it did look pretty good, but I haven't played it and probably won't play it. But Minecraft, like I said, is good for my daughter. She loves Minecraft. Skull, I don't know anything about. I'm going to do some research on it and find out. All right. Our next topic coming from PC Gamer, written by Wes Fenlon. The gold rush is over. Slay the Spire and Darkest Dungeon devs say that the big Game Pass and Epic exclusive deals had dried up for the indie developers. At last week's GDC, the developers behind indie sensation Slay the Spire and the Darkest Dungeon discussed the deals small developers have come to rely on for funding, including Game Pass and Epic Game Store exclusive. Casey Yano, who is a co-founder of the Slay the Spire studio Megacrit, said, quote, I talked to at least 5 small teams, like 35 members and under, during GDC, and they're like, cuts, funding canceled. Talks were going on for a year, canceled, end quote. Ultimately, the deals for the getting games onto Game Pass and Epic exclusive storefront have come down in scope. So, we often talk about PlayStation Plus, Epic, Game Pass, all that stuff for these indie developers. And, they obviously, our thoughts, we don't have any facts behind it, is that they often get a big bag of money up front, and that's how they're able to fund some of the stuff, to, guarantee themselves, all that other stuff. So, Dan, I'll go to you first. Is this a sign that Game Pass and stuff like that is not really for the indie developers to get their games out there anymore, that they're going to focus on the bigger AAA games? Because, and I'm not calling Yield out, but Yield often says the games we get for PlayStation Plus are not of high quality, as Jimmy Ryan used to say.
Used to say, he just said it.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, I did misspeak there. But what's your thoughts on this? I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
That's okay. I've really got 2 avenues I could go down here. One is that tech money is fake money, that it doesn't exist. I can go on that rant, but I think I'm going to kind of shelve that one aside, because you see it with a lot of the Hollywood stuff too, that all this, all the fake tech money that was being put into things wasn't getting a return from all the venture capitalist type folks, and all of that's being pulled because it was never real to begin with. The rant I'm going to go on a little bit more here is what we're calling indie game developers. When you look at something like Megacrit, yeah, listen, I qualify that one as an indie, but there are all these like publishing houses out there that are just snatching up indies and calling themselves indies when they're going through these larger houses that don't really make them independent anymore, or they get to call it independent. It's kind of like a really gray fuzzy area. You look at some of the stuff last year with even like Dave the Diver, right? You look at the companies behind some of these games and how large they are in scope. It's all back alley deals. It's all, there's a lot going on behind the scenes as far as like big companies dealing with big companies, tech using fake money to make things look good. Listen, I think PlayStation, a couple things I'll say about the PlayStation side of it specifically. One, I think PlayStation was ahead of the game when Stray was the one like day one release that got any attention, and they don't really do day one releases, and I'm okay with that. Like, I know eventually we'll get Horizon, we'll eventually get Spider-Man 2, we'll eventually get Ragnarok. Like, it may come down the line, but I got plenty of games in the meantime that'll keep me amused in my PlayStation backlog. Yeah, I mean, listen, PlayStation just has a massive library. They've got a bunch of older games in there that I'm perfectly happy to go spend some time with. And the thing I have to do is just stop buying newer games and wait for it to hit that. Either I've got to just buy the games, or I've got to just use the money for Game Pass. Take my pick one way or the other. But I just say all that to say, one, tech money's fake money. Two, I don't really like what we're calling indie studios for the most part these days. And three, PlayStation's just doing their own thing, and I think they're a little bit ahead of the game from where, Epic and Xbox are catching up, and you see them kind of pulling back, and it's making it look worse than it really is.
All right, Ray, your thoughts?
I think there's so many avenues. I always think of how people, I guess maybe younger generations are like watching news now. Like I don't go and watch like cable news when I want to see something. I go on some random site, or people that I watch that are just not as popular. And I think there's just so many avenues for indie developers to go out and get their games seen by people that they don't have to kind of keep jumping on these streaming services and putting themselves with like these deadlines that they have to hit and how many we're going to sell and everything like that. So you get into streaming services that just don't need that anymore. And I don't have to buy games right away, like Dan said. Like I play PlayStation games two years later when they come on PC. So and that's my new PlayStation game. And if I need something, like I'll buy it. Like if I need a day one thing, then that means I really want to buy the game. Otherwise, I'll just wait for it to come out later.
All right, Yield.
I don't even know what your question was.
Is the sign that indie developers are not getting these deals to these streaming services, is that a sign that, one, it's going to hurt indie devs, and two, that PlayStation and Xbox, they're hearing people like you say we need more high quality games, and they're focusing more on giving us the AAA games than indie games?
I pass because I still don't understand your question. So
okay, Alex.
So funding for indie games, like if you're a Microsoft Game Studio, you work for PlayStation Studios, like there's no question where your funding comes from. You're getting it from your papas. But when it comes to indie game devs, there's always going to have to be multiple avenues and different ways that they can fund their games. Some can, maybe there's enough funds there within the company they can do it themselves. Or you may be like Arrowhead, where you have to, or at least I assume, to get a game like Helldivers 2 out, you have to partner with Sony for them to publish it because you need, millions of dollars worth of funding. So, I mean, digital storefronts are incredibly important for indie developers because, doing things the traditional way and releasing on physical media isn't always the best avenue for them. It's, more just being able, there's a freedom and, digital storefronts make it a lot easier for them to release their games and meet a wider audience. So, I mean, yes, it is disconcerting to hear that indie developers are starting to get, a wall when it comes to the services like Xbox Game Pass, but I don't know. I would hope that that's not every indie dev. Like I said, indie devs have to find different ways to fund their games. So if making deals with Sony, I hope that the deals with Sony and Microsoft can continue to happen. If, stuff is drying up on Epic or on Xbox Game Pass, indie devs should go to Sony, or Sony should look to go to indie devs and say, hey, we like your game, we'll publish you. And that's the way, instead of acquiring studios, buying studios straight up, you can get exclusives for your console or, put them on PC as well, just by partnering with smaller studios. And you could say, hey, running the PlayStation indie promotion, and you got these awesome games coming. And on top of the AAA games and stuff like that, you get a really good mix of games right there. You get a good variety of game libraries. So that's, really important. So again, I mean, really disconcerting for indies, because you think about the push for all digital, it's really been beneficial for indies and how they support their games and how they disperse out to the larger audience. But I mean, really, obviously, video game streaming, the streaming services, we figured it would follow in the footsteps of music and movies and television. I feel like even though there are a lot of people out there when it comes to physical media, I think most people, like music is kind of like the least pushback when it comes to physical media. Yeah, you see the records come back, but there's not really as big of a push for, CDs as there is for, say, Blu-rays and DVDs for movies and television shows. And I feel like the greater pushback for physical media and the pro physical media group is in video games. I feel like that's, and maybe it's because video games just cost more than a movie or, a CD used to. But I feel like, yes, we're moving. It was kind of only a matter of time before we moved to the streaming services and the kind of all-you-can-eat buffet for your monthly subscription. But there's also, that massive pushback from the video game audience where people want physical media still and will go till, to GameStop or to, their local indie shops to continue to buy games. So I'm sure within that rant not even a rant, that whole spiel I just said, I hit on Tricky's point or question at some point.
You did.
But yeah, hopefully indie devs can still find a lot of open avenues on stuff like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus because, I'll point to a game that I really enjoyed that I had never heard of before, and that was Tales of Iron. I love that game, and I had not heard of it before it came to PlayStation Plus. So clearly these services can be a great way, not only a marketing tool, but just a way for people to try your game for, no buy-in. They're already paying the subscription. Being able to get in there and have people, just give it a try with the no barrier is incredibly important for a lot of these lesser-known games.
Matt, your thoughts?
It kind of leads into the thing that I've been thinking along, that indie developers were counting on services like Game Pass and the deals kept out by or handed out by Epic for exclusivity to fund their games. It provided that assured income they needed to continue development and creation of their games. And I think the fact that, the Mega Crit co-founders out there saying, it was out there, we hit it up. It's kind of like the early days of streaming. You have some big streamers out there who built their fan base early, and now they're riding it. Now everybody else is trying to come in after, say, oh, I want to get my piece of the pie too. But there's only so much pie around that you can hand out. So I think now it's just a matter of waiting for what the next big thing is for indie developers to go out and get a different pie started to get their piece there. It is what it is, and yeah, I think it's all part of the analysis of determining whether these services are beneficial for the publishers or not.
Well, I think and Matt didn't exactly say this, but kind of what I took from that is what he and Matt, you can tell me if I'm wrong about this, but Matt sees, and I agree with him, is that indie developers and games will always persist. It's just where are they going to find that way in? And like I said, Sony and Nintendo, if Game Pass and Epic Games aren't doing it for you, like Sony and Nintendo would be wise to step in and help some of these games get funded and get them on their platforms with some exclusivity. Matt, is there anything in there you want to?
No, you hit it, exactly. It's indie developers will keep making indie games, and where they get their funding, for a while it was Kickstarter, then it was Game Pass, then it was Epic exclusivity. So what's next? What's their next avenue to keep doing what they're doing?
All right. Before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to V, who did a raid with 4 viewers. Thank you guys for coming over. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And there was somebody else I missed in the chat. Matt, you caught up.
It was Dos Andres.
Okay. Thank you for popping into the stream. All right. Next topic we have GameStop faces unsustainable sales decline and is cutting jobs to control the cost. This is coming from Reuters and written by Priyanka G. and Harshita Mary Varghese. I'm sorry if I butcher names. In a conference Tuesday, GameStop reported it had to cut an unspecified number of jobs to reduce costs as well as the lower fourth quarter revenue. Quote, Wedbush Securities analyst Michael Pachter said, quote, an increase in mix of digital downloads is hurting physical retail, and there's simply no reason to go to the store if a consumer can just order a game and download it immediately, end quote. As of February, GameStop reported 8,000 full-time salaried and hourly associates and between 13,000 and 18,000 part-timers. Pachter continued to say, quote, I suspect they will keep trimming costs to generate break even or better, but it's inevitable that their sales will decline to an unsustainable level, end quote. Well, we've been saying that about GameStop for years. Matt, we'll start with you since I let you go last time. What are your thoughts on this whole GameStop thing?
I've said it before, and it bears repeating here. there's a lot of people who hate GameStop, and for very valid reasons.
Matt, they tried to sell me an open copy of Okami for new. They tried to sell me that as new. I'm still pissed. We're a decade later. More than a decade later.
Again, there are many people who hate GameStop for valid reasons. And I attribute situations like that to mismanagement of the company, not necessarily the people in the store, because I want to make this straight. We've all been in those shitty retail positions that you're doing things that you don't agree with, but you're told, shut up, do your job, or you're fired. And I feel for those people because they're the ones that are going to pay the penalty for the mismanagement of this company. But day and date, to this day, I still like going into a GameStop more than walking into another big box store and having to flag down an associate, wait for them to get the case open, figure out where I'm going to be buying this game, whether I'm purchasing it at the kiosk there and then walking it through the store. Because here in Jersey, we have to carry our own bag. So, carrying a game with the receipt through the store tends to look a little weird. GameStop, I can go in, say, hey, I want this game. Okay, good, done. Yes, you have to put up with some questions, that they have to do their sales pitch.
Do you want the Pro Gamer account?
What was that?
I was saying, do you want the Pro Gamer account? You get the free magazine.
Well, then
no, you don't. No, you don't get it for free. Paying for the Pro
you have
Gamer
to pay
account
for the
gets you the
magazine.
magazine.
It's $5 more per year, and I've actually like my Game Pass, like my PlayStation Plus, I'm letting my GameStop Pro membership lapse because they increased the price, they've reduced the benefits, and I said
you don't
this
get
is
a
not
physical.
worth my money.
You don't get a physical copy anymore.
Well, and on top of that, the $5 coupon that you got per month, which again was pale in comparison to what you got before that, you can no longer use that on gift cards, which if there was nothing I wanted that month, at least I can go in and spend $5 and get a $10 Nintendo eShop card or a Steam card. But you can't do that anymore. So they keep taking benefits away. And I said, this is not worth it anymore. But it's still a place I can go in and get out. I can go in, get a game, get out, and I'm done. I don't have to worry about walking through other stores trying to flag down associates who may not necessarily care to assist me as soon as they could. So I go into GameStop, I know what I'm going for. And with the decline of the company, I think we said it in our chat, it would be very interesting to see if potentially, I don't think it is, it potentially some additional mom and pop shops start coming back up, or maybe the used game stores that are in the area will start carrying more launch day games so we can potentially pre-order and get it through them. So it's just some thoughts on what could happen down the line.
Yield your thoughts on GameStop?
They're run real shitty. That's what it is. Matt hit the nail on the head. I mean, I had been a pro member for, it was 10, 11 years. And mainly that was because I got Game Informer, and it was something nice to get in the mail other than bills. So I equated my subscription to Game Informer as, the cost to be a pro member. And then they took away the stuff that you used to get for your points. You couldn't turn it in for anything. You had to, now the only way you could use it for was money off, so to speak. And I burned through most of that at the end of the year when they took away and made it all digital. The companies just ran real shitty. They got too big, too fast. They carry a bunch of stuff that they really don't need to carry. And I'm really hoping the mom and pop store comes back, because those places were, not that GameStop's not run by gamers, but like Matt said, you go in there and there's a lot of times they're trying to push stuff, and it's like, man, I'm here to buy a game. You should be able to tell, or I shouldn't say you should be able to. I would guess that you would know who's a gamer, who's not, who you need to push stuff, and who you can just be like, all right, this is what you're here for. Okay, cool. Here you go. Have a good day. So, yeah.
All right.
It's sad, but they're just shitty ran.
Dan, your thoughts?
You remember in Pulp Fiction when what's her face is overdosing and John Travolta hits her in the heart with an injection of adrenaline
Yes.
and she jumps back up? That's what happened with all of the GameStop stock stuff. They took somebody who was dying of an overdose, gave them a shot of adrenaline, but they couldn't help themselves and they went right back to the stuff. So I don't know if my metaphor stuck or not. I will firmly say the mom and pop shop, at least in my area, is coming back rapidly. I moved into my town 12 years ago. There were 2 GameStops half a mile from each other. It was almost like a Starbucks situation. Both of them closed before 2020. It wasn't even in 2020. It was before 2020. Both of them closed. A bunch of other GameStops in my area have closed, and already I know of 2 independent shops. Yeah, they're just like one guy in his 30s, another guy in his 30s. They've been collecting games. Like they got a cheap piece of real estate, and they opened a storefront up, and people are going in. In the case of the one, the guy was open like 3 days a week. He opened like for a couple hours after work. Now he just does it. It's like 6 days a week. He's open up for 8 hours a day, rapidly, and that's in the period of like 6 months. It's physical games are dying. You can see what's happening with that in the big box stores. To Matt's point, where like, guess what? They're not selling Xbox. Xbox didn't want you buying physical games, so guess what? They're not going to sell physical games. It's the problem is though. Good luck with Xbox's policies, especially when it comes to some of the digital purchases. But that's a separate discussion for another day on that side in particular. But yeah, the mom and pop store is coming back with this, and hey, good for them.
So I think that I may not speak for everyone, but for a lot of people growing up and be included, like getting a job at GameStop as a teenager or when you're in your like late teens, early 20s would seem like a dream job because, hey, we grew up playing video games and like getting to talk about video games and work with video games seemed phenomenal. And at one point, GameStop may have been a great company to work for. But, and Matt did make the distinction between the people that run GameStop and then the store associates. So I don't have anything against the store associates. They're just people trying to make a living. They're just trying to do their jobs. But GameStop, I will say, has survived longer than I thought it would. I thought it would have been gone by now. It's kind of like they have based their business on a dying model. As Dan said, you go into big box retail and the amount of games they sell is pathetic now. For an industry that makes as much money as it does and as popular as it is, you would never tell if you walked into a retail store. You go into Targets, and even like I feel like the company that is most gotten its consumers to buy into physical media, Nintendo, you even go into Target and there's hardly any Nintendo games there. Like there's nothing there. So GameStop has based their entire model on that to where other companies can transition away. Target, Walmart, all these other companies sell different things. GameStop sells games. And as other companies move away from that and cut their physical media space down, GameStop is that's all they are. So they didn't like Blockbuster, and I've seen more and more people compare them to Blockbuster. They didn't transition their business when they should. And now they're caught in a pickle because it seems like they're just, it's just a matter of time at this point. Like they can see, like they're the dinosaurs and they can see the meteor coming or the asteroid coming or whatever the hell it was. And all they can just do is like, fire more people before the inevitable comes. And the company just has to go away completely or, declare bankruptcy or, do whatever they can to survive. But at this point, it just seems like a matter of time. Ray, I think that you were the last person to go. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, it just feels like it's just kind of the trend and sign of the time. I don't know if I'm the youngest one here, but
You are.
I'm sure. But like, I can't tell you the last time I bought a game in any store. Forget about GameStop. Like I don't go into stores to buy games.
Have you gone fully digital, or are you still?
Oh yeah, everything I get everything digital or on Steam, even everything Nintendo. I get it. The last thing I'll go to Costco to get a gift card for Nintendo to then buy the vouchers online with my cheaper gift card. But like so I get everything digital. I buy my like life off Amazon. I get my Walmart groceries delivered to me. Like I barely go into stores.
I just got
just
Walmart
in
delivery
general.
today.
Yeah, like so like I don't go into stores in general. So if you tell me I have to go into this store and the only thing I'm gonna do is buy a game, like no, I'm gonna sit home and buy it instead. I just don't get physical things. And to Dan's point, like I think there's a GameStop somewhere by me, but there's now like 3 retro game stores that have all opened up. There's 2 like gaming cafes. So, to me that's the trend, right? You get these places that has throwback stuff or just merchandise for people that just love games, right? Like they love to be there, or these cafes because people want that community aspect where they can see each other in person and they run events and whatnot. That just seems like that's just like the next step in what it is. And just GameStop is just kind of sitting there and waiting for someone to take it out back.
You kind of took what I was going to say because my memories of GameStop is because I've gone fully digital too. I don't buy anything physical. The only thing I go to GameStop for, if I go to GameStop, is to buy like collectible statues or a pop or something like that. But what I miss about GameStop is like the midnight releases. You go in there and you could talk to the people about the game. I hate to phrase it this way, but there's not a lot of people in my circle. I don't know about you guys' circles that really play video games. Like so I can't go to work and tell somebody how amazing the new Horizon is or how much I'm enjoying Uncharted or The Last of Us. So going to GameStop, there was always that feeling of like I can go there and this person is actually going to know what the hell I'm talking about and can relate. But unfortunately, nowadays you go into GameStop and it's some, I hate to phrase it this way, some Gen Zer who doesn't really play video games and their whole world is Call of Duty, so you can't have that conversation anymore. Dan looks like he wants to say something.
Don't worry, it's not just Gen Z, but no, you're correct on that. Yes,
it's so. I mean that was my thing about GameStop. It was I never really looked at GameStop as a place to buy my video games. I looked at it as that's my video game outlet. That's my sanctuary, so I can go and talk video games. And that's part of the reason why this podcast started was because I could sit down for an hour or two once a week and just talk video games with people who could relate and could have a conversation and could, it wasn't like I was talking to, somebody just going, Hi, V. V's in the background.
She can't hear you.
I know she can't hear me. Now she can. But that's my memories of GameStop. And I think the only way GameStop is really going to survive is to really just, get out of the used game market and just focus on the positive aspects of the video games, start pushing the new game sales because, Alex, I assume that what you're talking about when you tried to buy Okami was they were trying to sell you the shelf copy and they opened it up and they said that, oh, it's still new. We just had to take it out of the case so we can put it on the wall.
Probably something like that, but still.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I had the same thing happen with 2 different games, including one I was getting for a gift that I was like, forget it. Yeah.
Which is funny because when I went in to buy my copy of Splatoon 3, they had the last copy. And not only did they sell it to me for the used price, they gave me an additional discount on top of that.
So they sold you a new game for the used price?
Yep.
One thing I have noticed, and I mentioned something about about GameStop not transitioning its business when it needed to, but I have noticed walking into GameStops occasionally in recent years is there's more focus on merchandise, action figures, coffee mugs, that kind of stuff.
PC accessories, a lot more PC accessories that you would get at an actual computer store too.
Because Tricky, you said they need to focus on selling new games. I don't think that's what's going to pull them out of this.
No, I'm saying that's going to pull them out. But I'm saying is one of the biggest gripes people have with GameStop is the used game prices because they buy your game for 3 pennies and then they wind up selling it for $50. So there's a stream unbalance there.
So I want to jump in at that point before I miss I forget this, but it's to Alex's point, they need to focus on the used games, but price things accordingly. So you're right, Tricky. It absolutely is a pricing issue because If they're buying a game for $3 and they turn around and try to sell it for 30, that is a problem. Because as we all know, new games do not, and I've talked about this on the show before, new games do not have a very high margin. So yeah, they're going to try to sell you things like a game replacement plan and things like that to boost their sales. Just like any other tech store has done throughout the history of time, that they try to add the warranty on to ensure that they boost the sales and hope you never have to use it. Insurance, go figure. But the issue is if they turned around and focused on better prices for their used games, people would be much more inclined to make those purchases. If you go out there and you buy a $70 game now and you finish it within a week and you beat it and you're done and you're like, I'm just going to take it to trade into GameStop. And GameStop, let's say they give you $30 for that game. I think if they turned around and sold that used game for $40, that would be more enticing as opposed to them turning around and selling the game for $65.99 as they want to do for a new release used game where it's just $5 off. If they worked on their pricing model, I think that would be a big thing to turn them around.
Well, Matt, what you're forgetting with that, and you know better than anybody, is overhead bloat because of the fact they're a corporate structure, right? That's no problem when you go into the mom and pop shop that's not supporting the corporate infrastructure that GameStop is.
Val.
And yes, like the used game market has always been more lucrative for GameStop than the new game market. The problem is, though, is that caught the eye of Sony and Microsoft and these other companies, which have pushed the digital, pushed towards a digital future. In the end, that's what's going to kill GameStop. And the digital game sales. And
digital sales is just one of many things they've tried, because you remember back in the day, they were trying to combat used game sales by selling us the online pass. So if you bought a used game, you had to pay Sony and Microsoft $10 to be able to play that game online. So they've tried in ways to get rid of the used game market because they don't have any control over it. But
which is silly.
But is it really though? I mean,
it is.
They don't want you, like, from a standpoint of Microsoft and Sony. Like, I understand you as a consumer, it benefits you, but from Sony and Microsoft's standpoint, they sell one copy to a person. That person then returns it to GameStop and then sells it to another person, which is one less customer to buy their game.
Okay, so should all the car manufacturers not let people buy cars other than a brand new car?
Don't threaten them with a good time about some of the software.
Should you not be able to buy a house other than a brand new built house?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Should I not be able to buy a sea bass other than a brand new sea bass?
Well, let me ask you a question, and it's totally hypothetical. Let's say we charge $10 an episode for Trophy Whores, and then somebody bought it, and they listened to it, they were done with it, and then they give it to their friend, and now their friend listens to it. Now their friend's done with it, they give it to somebody else. Potentially, 3, 4, 5 people have listened to the show, but we've only made the $10. You don't feel slighted on that, at least?
No.
Now you sound like Nintendo. Nintendo does not appreciate anybody doing that kind of stuff.
No, because we don't live in a world that does that. I mean,
see, okay, hold on. Like, Yield,
you're talking about entirely different businesses and entirely different business models too.
Well, okay, Yield, to respond to you, Yield, the question you asked, the thing about Microsoft and Sony is they can combat used sales by killing the company that does it. That's why they're pushing digital media. You can still buy used games. They're not stopping you from buying used games. What they're going to do is they're going to kill the company that allows you to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it's not about saying you can't do that, but if you have fewer avenues to do that.
Well, they did with the $10 pass attempt.
Yeah, they have to do everything they can to push GameStop out. Like, they're never going to be able.
What stopped them from that pass attempt, though?
Nobody bought into it.
Well, no,
right.
people.
That's the only way this is going to happen.
But people were buying into it. It just wasn't as successful as they hoped it to be.
I mean, I wasn't buying into it. I'm like, screw you. I don't need to play your game then.
It was a lot of bad publicity. And to go back to Dan's discussion about, covering overhead and things like that, the one match to that equation, again, that they're missing is volume. because if you're selling a game and you buy it back for 30 and you're trying to sell it for $55.99, you may get some sales on that, but you start getting an influx of games. And this is where the data and analysis and statistics have to help, because obviously everybody's buying a Madden and a Call of Duty and then trading it in the next year when the new one comes out. So you can't continue selling them for exorbitant prices. But, certain hot games you can sell for more than others. But if that game sits on your shelf for months on end, and once you get past that initial season of selling or that release period, it kind of loses a lot of value. So there's some seesawing, there's some fluctuations to consider. But like I've said, I've always appreciated the fact that I can go into a GameStop, pay for my game, and leave. Now, the catch here, and we've broached that topic, is the digital age. And I've talked about it here before, is when I went in, I don't pre-order as many games as I used to. I try to avoid it where I can. I can't say don't pre-order. That would make me a hypocrite. But I went in for Ghost of Tsushima. They didn't have it. And I said, okay, fine. And I went home and I downloaded it digitally. Like, that's the convenience, that I can go digital if I want to. But as it's been said on the Loop Bros and said here, physical games going away is a problem. But I also say, if you ever wanted to own your games, stop buying anything after the PS2 era, because that's when we stopped owning our games.
All right. Any final thoughts before we move on here? All right. Just for the interest of time, we're going to skip the Embracer topic. But just the only thing to really note out of this is that Gearbox was given up for $460 million to Take-Two Interactive Software. So Gearbox is no longer under Embracer. So our next topic is coming from metro.co.uk. Matt, no author was credited for this article?
I didn't see anyone on the article.
Nor do we need to. We celebrated our independence from the UK. We don't need to credit their writers.
We should bring Dan back on the 4th of July episode.
They're probably just speaking for the king anyways.
Dilly dilly.
So headline is PlayStation 5 Pro developer verdict, quote, I didn't meet a single person that understood the point of it, end quote. After a recent game developers conference in San Francisco, GameIndustry.biz editor Chris Drink appeared on the podcast to talk about his interactions with devs on the prospect of a PlayStation 5 Pro. Quote, I'll be honest, I didn't meet a single person that understood the point of it. Developers didn't seem to feel they needed it. They weren't really making the most of the PS5 in the first place, end quote. This brings up the question, in light of recent rumors and specs, do we feel a PlayStation 5 Pro is something needed or even wanted at this point? I'm going to go to Dan and Ray last because we've kind of touched on this in past episodes, but Matt, I'll go to you first. Is a 5 Pro something we need at this point?
If it could do what they advertised on the box for once, maybe, but there's no...
Are you still hung up on the 8K?
Yeah.
Why put it on advertisement?
Because
why put it on the box?
Okay, I didn't say this in past episodes. I'm going to come off like a Sony apologist here, okay?
That's not surprising.
That sounds like bug talk to me. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Is there any...
I'm sorry.
Is there any proof the 5 cannot do 8K at this point? Because, and I say that because it may be capable of doing 8K, but the developers aren't developing 8K games.
Legally speaking, you are correct. It can theoretically do it. It has the hardware and equipment necessary to do so. And that is the end of that discussion, I suppose. If you're calling in the attorneys, then yes, you win.
That's like having a Ford Focus going, well, I mean, it could go off-road, but it's probably not going to be the best experience for you.
Well, you know what? I'm going to leave it alone. Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No, that's it. It's the gains here are so insignificant. It's not worth it. As a mid-system refresh, if they go, we're stopping selling the Slim, just like they did they introduced the Slim and they're stopping the sale of the launch. If they go, yeah, we're done selling the Slim, so this is the new upgraded. But Nintendo did that with their new 3D, the naming conventions, the new Nintendo 3DS, and it was meh. Like there was very little return on it. There was a significant boost in the PS4 Pro from the launch model. It can run Red Dead Redemption 2 at 60 frames per second, which was nice. This one, I'm not seeing the return on investment. So that's where I'm going to leave it.
All right. Yield, I already know your answer, but I'm going to go to you next.
Well, absolutely, we don't need one. I mean, I said that a couple episodes ago. I got a nice little grin when they admitted that the developers aren't even pulling out of the 5 what they can get now. And I swear I said that before.
Okay, but
I did.
Before I go on, but is that a Sony issue or is that a developer issue?
Yes.
So you say it's both.
Seriously,
you're saying it's both.
That was the correct answer.
Because the developers aren't pushing it enough, and Sony's not having the developers push it. All right, I thought Horizon it looked good, but it didn't blow me away.
Okay.
And I have yet to see a game on the 5 that, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing.
All right, let me ask you another question, Yield. I'm sorry. Do you have a 4K television?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have yet to see anything that just makes me just wow. The stories are better, the NPCs are better, and we've had this discussion before. We are past the point where you are going to be able to look at stuff and go, wow, so to speak, Yeah,
we don't have that graphical upgrade.
Colors will pop, but that's it. And the 5 just hasn't done it.
All right. Before I go to Alex, I'll just say, I think with the Pro, again, I'm coming off as an apologist, but I'm not. I'm not trying to be that way. I think one of the other aspects of the Pro that a lot of people aren't considering is that if it is more powerful, the games can run more smoother. We can get more NPCs in the open worlds, that type of stuff. So that's another.
Okay, tricky, but we're not using the 5 the way it is now. So if it's more powerful, what are we going to use it for?
Well, again, I would say that there's an argument to say that that's not so much on Sony, that's on the developer not using it to its full potential.
So let's give them a box that can be more powerful when they're not even pulling all the power out of the one they got.
If there was a single developer out there able to do ray tracing and 4K on the PS5 box as is, then I would say, that would be on the developer. But no developer can do that. That's on Sony not providing them the hardware that they need. Every single PS5 dedicated game has a fidelity mode, which is 4K 30 FPS, or performance 60 FPS, no 4K mode. If the purpose of this new box is to give them something that can do that, I don't think the incremental gains they're getting is going to allow the developers to do that. And as Yield was saying, we're not seeing the full capabilities of the launch PS5 now, because games that were in development that are here now were in development as the system was being made. I'll let Dan go after we're finished, because he's nodding in agreement with me. And I don't want to steal his point.
All right, let's go to Alex next, and then we'll go to Dan. Did Alex fall asleep on us?
No, I did not. So I have never felt the need to go out and buy a Pro version or a mid-cycle upgrade of a console unless the console that I had previously died. All these consoles, from the PS3 to the PS4 to the Switch to the PS5, like they all function fine enough for me, the original models, that I, again, don't need to go buy the refresh unless, I don't have a console to play on. So with the PS3 that happened, with every other console generation, it has not happened. So I haven't had to invest in it. But obviously there continue to be these mid-cycle refreshes because Sony knows there's a market for it. So if there is a market for it, then not necessary. But if people will buy it, then why wouldn't Sony, release it? You may get people to buy the console, for the first time. You're probably going to get people, like maybe our friend Tricky here, to buy a second or a third, well, in Tricky's case, a seventh PlayStation 5. But you may get people to double up and buy another console because it is the refresh and it's seen as the, at least maybe in their eyes, or what Sony's marketing as, the best way to play on the PlayStation 5. So for me, and I think by definition not needed, but Sony, if there's a market for it, Sony's going to try to capitalize on it. So obviously people will buy it. It's like the PlayStation Portal. Is the PlayStation Portal necessary? Absolutely not. But Sony has found a market for it, and they've, at least in the early term, benefited from that.
All right, Dan.
All right, so you're going to set me off here. So a couple of things I'm going to bring up here. First of all, so one thing I want to talk about with the developers, all those continuing Reddit threads that pop up of like Toys R Us ads from 1996 or 1997. Like, how much did Doom 64 cost in 1996 or whatever it was?
$100.
Anybody else?
90 something.
75. $75 new. Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey, $75 new. How much does a new game cost now?
$70.
$70. You don't think there's something disconnected in there? There's some concerns there, right? The other thing that comes to mind for me with this discussion is, when was the PlayStation 4 released? What year?
2013.
2013. Thank you, Matthew. What are the best games for the PlayStation 4?
Are you arguing
End
saying
of
it's
the-
4 games?
Uncharted 2.
Last of Us.
So
Spider-Man was
let's
PS4,
say
right?
let's say the best games for the PlayStation 2: Spider-Man, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War.
You mean all the games with PS5 versions?
Are those down boy?
First of all, I'll jump on this too, though.
But seriously though, we can all agree probably those are among 4 of the best games of that generation. They all came out 2017 at the earliest. I think Horizon was 2017, but the other games were all 2018 or later. 2020 in the case of Ghost of Tsushima. So it took 5 years in the development cycle for them to even be able to unlock, and they were still unlocking processors and speed and everything else in the base PS4 model for developers. So like that, it's great for them to say there's a pro model. I don't think there's any use for it. If I were to buy a new PlayStation 5 at this point in time, yeah, I would want to get a pro just because it's going to have a bigger hard drive, but nothing else about it
You hope it has a
needs
bigger
to
hard drive.
exist.
All right, Ray.
And the best is yet to come.
I mean, I'll just say, I think people, I don't know, it's for people feeling bad or whatever. It used to be when you got a new system, like it went from, N64 to GameCube or whatever, like the new games could only be played on the new system. Like, I think this whole idea of like, oh, there's a new system, but we have to keep making versions for the older system because some people can't buy it. I think that's crazy. Like, it's a new system. We should have games that just play on a new system. Because these companies are spending time making versions of it. I mean, even having to then like PlayStation porting their games to PC costs them like ridiculous amounts of money to make different versions of the same game. Make the new system and make the games for the new system. If you can buy the new system, good for you. Congrats, you get it. If you're not, then you're gonna play the games on the older system.
But the counterpoint to that, I'm sorry, Ray. The counterpoint to that is that you're gonna piss off the generation that can't afford the new, like you. In Sony's case, you're going to piss off the people that can't afford a PS5 and tell them they can't play certain things. Just case in example, with the DLC for Forbidden West, it was only available for the 5 version. They did not put it out for the 4 version, and there was an outcry for it and they had to come out and say, what we did, it was called Burning Shores, right? Or am I thinking the other one?
No,
Yeah,
you're
Burning
right,
Shores,
Burning
Yeah.
Shores.
Okay, Burning Shores. They said what we did in Burning Shores is not possible on the 4. So,
But
crap.
that's what it should be, because you should have a new system that can do more. Because this whole PS5 Pro thing, I mean, what's the point? I don't know the games, and again, I'm the outsider looking at the PlayStation stuff. I don't know the games that are like, wow, look what the PS5 could do, because it's being handicapped by we have to make a PS4 version at the same time.
Spider-Man 2 wasn't Spider-Man 2 the first game that was only on PS5? They didn't make a 4-4.
No,
And that's like years later.
Returnal was
Returnal was
Sure. Okay, if you guys say so.
Ratchet-
So Spider-Man 2 was the first game that they released only for the PlayStation 5.
Like that's years later. Like I think that's crazy. And then the other point is just, and then here's the Nintendo Homer one that we know we're using a system from 2017 and still pumping out games that that people love and think are amazing.
16 gigabyte Tears of the Kingdom, baby.
Yeah.
Are they still making 3DS games?
No, that's done.
That's finished.
Okay.
I have the OLED for the Switch because my original one was slowing down. Like it took longer to load stuff on it, so I ended up getting an OLED. But even that model came out, I mean, what, like 5 years into the Switch cycle, or somewhere around there. So I just don't get the Pro. I don't understand a Pro version for a system that doesn't have. I mean, you barely have any games to do it.
But again, take something like the Switch OLED or the Steam Deck OLED. There was a functional, visual, or significant upgrade to what the purpose of that system was doing.
Yes.
Here, it's so incremental and not. It isn't central around to what that system can do. Like, take the PS4 to the PS5. You went from, to me, the biggest leap was the fact of introduction of the solid state drive into this, which allowed it to do certain things as they exhibited in Ratchet and Clank. On the Steam Deck and the Switch OLED, these portable systems, you are now seeing things clearer, the colors are better, things like that. On a PS5 to a PS5 Pro, are they really going to be able to make that monumental of an upgrade to a system that again, and nobody's even talking about the elephant in the room. What's the price going to be for this?
It's going to be the same price.
It'll end up being the same price as it is now, and they're either not going to make the existing one, or they're going to
other one down.
They're just going to drop it.
Yeah,
so with the 4.
I think it's going to be the same price because it's going to be cheaper for them to get the parts for it than it was 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was.
So we have it on recording, boys. Let's wait till we hear the price. Price announcement.
I mean, I'm still hurt. I paid for, here's another system, the Quest. I have an original Quest, and I think I paid double for like what the Quest 2 and Quest 3 are now, because I bought it when it first came out. So I mean, you can get nicer stuff, and again, it'll be cheaper just because everything else ends up being cheaper.
All right. That is it for our official topics. Apparently, I forgot to ask for questions, so we don't have any questions, but we can't go a show without it.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
Now that
Hey, Tricky.
that's
Tricky, what?
hold on,
What
that
episode?
go ahead.
What episode did we introduce that in?
I don't remember.
So, but I mean, my point is, you said we can't go an episode without it. How many episodes did we go before that soundbite?
Well, we can say that
This has been a rough episode on Tricky, and I feel like I've done my. I've not been helping that, and I'm sorry, Tricky.
Well, once it became part of the episode, we could not. We realized
like we can't
what an intricate part it's become. Right?
It's like we can't do a Trophy Wars episode without the 4 hosts. Like it's a staple.
We've done that too. We've absolutely done that too, and recently.
I tried to help.
Thank you, Ray, and Dan. Just so you know, this is what it's like on every episode. I get a lot of hate, and even in private messages.
I don't need a dog pile on it though. I shouldn't be doing that.
Even in private messages, as you saw in the Discord, like
wait, is that bug talk, Dan? Do I hear bug talk?
Matt takes
it's just what Matt told me to be more subtle about it. That way, when Tricky's just gone and Matt's taken over, then nobody asks any questions.
Oh, so there are talks about the Grinelli takeover in the background, huh?
Did I say that?
Talks of the Grinelli takeover in the foreground too. Like this is not a secret.
I'm sorry, you're acting like this hasn't already happened.
What?
All right. So our topic of the week is going to. There's no link. It's going to center around Dan and Ray here. We're going to talk about Channel 3 because every episode, obviously Matt makes a reference to gamify your social media over at channel3.gg. But we never really got any information about it. So I figure with the two people here from Channel 3, it'd be a good conversation piece, and you can tell us what Channel 3 is all about. I don't know who wants to start, Dan or Ray, but tell us what Channel 3 is, basically. Dan's pointing to Ray.
Why are you pointing at me? I don't know what Channel 3 is about. This is where Dan always starts with what Channel 3 is about. He's much better at this stuff.
Well, I would think that, but Dan doesn't even know how to run TikTok, so I think, Ray, you're the man on this.
No, Dan willingly chooses not to. It's a willful decision, just so we're clear.
Channel 3, you come to Channel 3 is because you love video games and you're like, I want to talk about games. Or I like talking about games. I want to post a clip about because I did something really cool. And I need a place that somebody's going to actually care about what I did because they also do things in games that they want to show off. So it's this community of people that just care about the same stuff and finding a place to have us all together as opposed to hiding in different corners of other social medias and being thrown to the wayside and having, and Facebook messaging you that they just started a group for you that you didn't even realize that they started. And so you're here, you're together, you're talking about the games, you're posting about the games, you get to have a game experience while you're on the site because everything you do gains you XP, like you're running a battle pass. And you get rewarded for it, and it's a fun experience. There's a kind of a part of daily routine. You wake up, you play some mini games on the site, you vote on what's the best game on a crazy March Madness bracket that Nintendo has taken over on Channel 3, and it's your all-in-one stop for video game stuff.
Yeah, PlayStation really dropped the ball on showing up, but we're just gonna make fun of the Rocket League people for their number one seeded game dropping the ball too.
Number one overall seed in the site, first number one seed to drop.
Don't pick on Rocket League.
No, I'll happily pick on Rocket League.
Rocket League picks on itself.
Yeah, we're here to pick on Rocket League for them. It's okay.
You got two Rocket League enthusiasts here.
Oh,
I wouldn't call us enthusiasts.
They hate the game.
There are no Rocket League enthusiasts.
You play every Thursday, Yield.
I play every Thursday because the guys are playing. If there wasn't a group of us playing, I would play.
And he hates the game. I can tell you right now.
All right,
Job.
I'm gonna
hold on a second. Job in the chat says, "I'm not okay with what happened to Chrono Trigger on the bracket and won't be for a long time."
Yeah,
what happened to Chrono Trigger?
Chrono Trigger should have lasted.
That one. I got it. I have it pulled up here. Chrono Trigger in our voting. Where in the world do I have my bracket? Because I just had to update it. No, that's the wrong browser. I'll find it. Dan, say something while I find.
Yeah, so we just so what everyone understands being alluded to. Ray put together a March Madness bracket for us. He took the top 64 rated games on the site, seeded them, and and Chrono Trigger went down. I don't know what to tell you. It went down. I wasn't happy about it.
What did it go down to?
Round 1 to Batman Arkham City.
Bullshit.
That's fair.
On a tough vote, 52% to 48%. It was close.
Okay,
it was a youth problem, I think.
I don't say. There you go. It had to have been a youth problem because there ain't no way on God's green earth that Chrono Trigger gets beat by Arkham City.
I thought it was a crazy one too. I couldn't believe it went down like that.
It stung me personally to see my number one all time go down.
There was browser Facebook. I saw you guys post two games against each other. I think it was The Last of Us versus Mario Kart 8. And nobody left a comment, and I put, this isn't even a choice. It's obviously The Last of Us. And then apparently The Last of Us died.
It was indeed the last of that for the voting.
How does The Last of Us lose to Mario Kart 8?
The sustainability of it, I think, was what really drove the voting for most people. Was just like, Mario Kart is an active part of their lives for the last, for most people since the Switch has been released in 2017, or it was apparently released for what I'm learning is called the Wii U at some point. I don't know what that was. I can't find any record of it, but
that was the Switch prototype.
But all kidding aside,
Nintendo certainly wishes that no one would remember the Wii U.
they don't. Then no one remembers it. But Mario Kart 8 is it's a tough vote even for me. Think about it, because like Last of Us was just such a monumental, earth-shattering game, and then Mario Kart's a part of it's a weekly game for a lot of people, if not twice weekly for a lot of people. So
I'll jump in though. It lost to
exactly.
Mario Wonder Last of Us
Mario
lost to
Wonder,
Mario
sorry.
See,
Wonder.
that's your fault. I don't
That's
want to talk about this Mario Wonder.
It was a 50. It was
Mario
another
Wonder and
52-48.
the Elite nonsense because of you.
Mario Wonder is one of the greatest Mario games ever created. I'm gonna go on a rant right here. First of all,
Here we go.
The first era of Mario ended with Mario Odyssey. So we have Super Mario Brothers all the way to Mario Odyssey. 35-year, perfect, absolute perfection. You know, games. Well, some of them I don't love every game. I Super Mario Sunshine is the one that I don't really love. But the game, I mean, just this is Mario. This whole story, Odyssey puts it all together. I mean, Odyssey wraps everything perfectly, and we've started the new era of Mario games with Mario Wonder, fresh new engine. We finally realized that Goombas don't just touch Mario and he loses; they actually bite Mario because now we finally have the technology to show that animation. And and they're like, hey, we'll take some stuff from Super Mario World, like the best of the Super Nintendo Mario, and we're gonna make this Mario Wonder. We're gonna show you the greatness, how the new greatness of Mario. It's the game that the kids today are going to say that was their first Mario game. Super Mario Wonder is an absolute amazing title of the game, and I will vote for it every single time.
But it should not beat The Last of Us.
52-48.
You're not going to be voting for it after today.
I know.
Because I'm looking.
All right.
My comment is still the only comment on that post. I said this shouldn't even be close.
I'm just going to go back on topic here and double click on some things Ray said and just kind of hammer home what Ray teed up and move on from this because I'm still annoyed with a few. But I jokingly say I'm annoyed, but you know, whatever, it happened.
Odyssey's taking on Tears of the Kingdom today, by the way. I can't believe it. That one I actually can't believe.
I thought it was Breath of the Wild.
There's too much recency bias, but so be it. The youth, man, the youth.
Tears of the Kingdom is newer than Odyssey.
I'm looking at the. Hold on, I'm sorry, Dan. The picture I'm looking at right now.
Tears of the Kingdom made it this far is silly.
I'm looking at your post from 11 hours ago. It's Breath of the Wild versus Wonder right now.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild's killing Wonder. It's not even close.
Yeah, both of them are.
I get it. I understand it. I don't agree, but I understand.
So anyway, back on topic. So to Ray's point about content, the thing that drives us most nuts about the other social medias is the algorithm heavy burial of video game content. Whereas like that's what I'm here looking for. So there's a place where video games are there, and the light bit of algorithm tinkering that takes place is just making sure that the games that you post about and the games that you like and have rated and react to are the ones that you're paying attention to, and it's all still there. And you know, it started probably with the heaviest emphasis on like Goodreads or Letterboxd for, you know, Goodreads is like the book rating app. Letterboxd is the movie rating app. It was like that for video games. That was kind of like 2 years ago when it started, probably the heaviest feature, the heaviest function. Matt would be on there writing his haiku for each game. But beyond that, we've got everything from weekly activities. We've been doing some more daytime games. We've got weekly events for Fortnite, Fall Guys, Rocket League. There's Mario Golf, Mario Kart, you name it. There's activities taking place, words on stream, marbles, insane marbles events taking place on there. So you got squads happening. You got people getting together for games. We have clubs that are forming. We had a photography club pop up for people as well. So like there's photography. Matt's an avid Grow Club member. So even some video game adjacent stuff popping up in there as well. Been trying to do some stuff as far as causes, philanthropy the last 2 months alone. And we raised some funds for Nerf Cancer with a Rocket League tournament in February. March had a nice event tied together with Mario Kart that benefited a kid again, which is a great charity that we've got a partnership with. That's actually been very beneficial for us there. Every day there are activities on the website. So every day there's a new, we call them quests, a question or something like, hey, go find in a game. So by the time this comes out, we will have released season 8 on Monday, April 1st. We every 3 months start a new season. So season 7 is wrapping up tomorrow night as we speak. And then Monday, probably around noon, it's going to come online. Joel, the founder, the programmer, he's going to come on and do kind of like his version of a direct on Twitch and kind of walk everybody through some of the new features that are there for it. But like, for instance, I could tell you now that on Monday, there's a couple of April Fool's quests that that are going to be in there as well. But one of the quests is like season 8 is starting. Go find 8 in a video game. Whatever video game it is, just find 8. I don't care if it's the score time in a Super Mario Brothers game. It could be, The Last of Us, a hanging 8 on a neon sign that's broken. Just go find an 8 and take a picture of it and put it out there. So the idea is just to come on, talk about games, have fun, have good interactions with other people. There's group chats dedicated to literally every game that we have in our library. There's a group chat that's available for it. Ray pointed out the other day that they're like one of our strongest chats is New York Times connections. Every day, everybody's going in and doing the match 16 words and figure out what the 4 themes and the 4 themes, are for the words. Coffee golf is kind of the funniest example of something that happened. I don't know if anybody here has played that. It's an independent mobile game. You just play, was it 5 holes of 5 holes of golf with your finger. You got a driver, you get a wedge, and you get a putter, and you play it. And there's a nasty, not nasty in a bad way, but like there's a competitive league for this game. We hosted an entire monthly event that the developers came out for. It's actually been a really cool partnership with them too, because we put merch together for them now that's available on our site as well. So we're trying to do some more outreach with some indie game developers, like real indie game developers. I usually throw real behind that when I say it, and they're truly some independent folks that are out there. So anyway, so we've got stuff out there for game developers, content creators, communities, just continuing to build every day and seeing it grow.
I don't want to cut you off, but I got to deliver bad news to Yield just because I know he's going to have a little bit of a reaction to this. Yield, apparently Fortnite beat Super Mario Brothers 3 yesterday.
No, it did not.
No, other way around.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And some people were upset. I was one of those people. I was also upset by that one.
What, that Super Mario 3 beat Fortnite?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
One of the greatest games of all time took down Fortnite, yes.
Took down also one of the best games of all time.
That's a no-brainer.
Okay, I'm sorry. I read that wrong because the thing says not everyone was thrilled that Fortnite was beaten by Super Brothers 3. I read it as Fortnite did beat. I'm sorry. I read it backwards.
That's okay. But even with that, like, again, it was another vote that, like, it's not easy. In all seriousness, like, Fortnite has been innovating and iterating for 7 years and has been the thing that everyone has been chasing for the last 7 years. Like, everyone is trying to do a live service game. Zuckerberg is trying to create his metaverse, and he's getting snaked by Fortnite at every turn. So, like, it's not without. I mean, I easily voted for Mario 3. I'm not going to lie. Like, no, I got to go for Mario 3. But, like, it's not that easy of a discussion if you stop and really think about it either.
Well, Fortnite stole their whole idea from PUBG, so.
And made it better.
So, yeah.
Well, a lot of things get stolen and get made better doesn't mean they didn't steal it.
Inspired.
Inspired.
But yeah, so we're dealing with the repercussions of some March Madness that Ray put together and has been showing us some stuff, and already we've had to start plotting for next year's March Madness as a result of this. But that's a separate discussion for another day. As the Elite Eight are rounding up, and as we go into next weekend and the final leg of the NCAA tournament, we'll be going into the final leg of our tournament as well.
All right, Alex, you have any questions for our guys here?
No, I mean, I think that the best thing to do is let them, because I mean, we hear about Channel 3 all the time through Matt, but just to let them have their time to say anything they want. It was good to hear, it's good to listen to, and of course it gives our community a better idea of what Channel 3 is all about. So, I mean, they covered it pretty well.
All right, so I'm going to make an assumption here, but I'm assuming Channel 3 comes from the fact that old school, you had to put your TVs on 3 to play the games.
This guy gets it.
Somebody gets it.
I'm that old.
Me too. It's okay.
Our youngins might not get that, so gotta put that reference out there. Back in the day,
we explained it at a boot camp for the my son's on there. Some of his friends from school are starting to show up on there. We've got a whole contingent of college kids who are on there as well that we have to explain these things to.
I asked my middle schoolers. I showed them this bracket, and we went through it all. They had Wii Sports beating out Red Redemption 2 to win the whole thing. That was their prediction.
What?
So I have a bunch of 13-year-olds who thought Wii Sports was the best game on this list.
My soul.
They weren't even alive for it.
My soul hurts.
That's your problem for having one.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Hey,
Well, what's
one
left
thing-
of it's gone.
One thing I do want to throw out there, so for anybody who's hearing this and hasn't been on there, just come on and try the mini games. There's 3 games every day. We have one called Target, which takes maps from different games, including Fortnite or Red Dead Redemption 2. Potentially, it rotates with some of the games. Speederman and Speederman 2 are 2 of the games that are on there as well for some of the options. But it gives you a screenshot from the game and says, "Go put a point on the map." There's a 1,000 pixel by 1,000 pixel picture. Pin the spot on the map. We've got Enhance, which is a digitized cover that some places have done their version of as well. And you've got to continually get better resolution on the photo and guess what the game cover is. And then we've got a trivia game that pops in every day with 33 answers available, and you got to get the right one with 33 different game covers or character lists or abilities in the game. But just come do that if nothing else. Come check that out.
I'm looking at my stats right now. My lifetime XP is 99, so I got to step up my game.
Ray and I just cracked 1 million. Those are
true.
rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
I'm going to trivia. Let me see if I can get the trivia.
I'm terrible at trivia.
You should be
So
able to get
bad
the
at
trivia today.
This Metrovania game is considered one of the most influential indie games of the 2000s.
I've never even heard of this game.
Ray, you're not old enough.
Hey, in 2000, you knew this game?
Yeah. So Tricky's
I've
in there
never
right now.
heard-
Games
I've
are
never
dropping
heard of
off.
it.
They're disappearing. If he
I-
clicks on
I
one,
got-
another
I-
game disappears.
I got wrong.
Keep going. Just gotta keep guessing.
Keep tapping. You're losing points.
Cave Story?
Yeah.
Never even heard of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've never even
I
heard
have
of it.
heard of it.
It's not a real game.
I didn't know the answer, but I have heard of it.
It apparently came out in December of 2004.
Never.
I
heard
did not realize it was that old, frankly. Because that's
I'm with
another game
Dan.
that, like, there's always indie sales going on. It's like you buy Cave Story for $1.
And,
It's there.
and I just got 76 experience, so.
I just bought the orange box the other day.
Wow.
For the first time.
Have you ever played
So-
Portal before?
No, I didn't know as a kid that was like a fully fledged game. I played like a browser version of it back when, browser websites and those kind of games were around all the time.
The Flash
Like
games?
Yeah, the Flash games like addictinggames.com, some of that. That was where I played Portal. I didn't know about Half-Life, all that stuff.
Oh, you
So
don't worry about Half-Life because you're gonna play Half-Life and then you're gonna want Half-Life 3. It's never coming, so
It's never coming.
just
I
save
bought the-
save,
I bought the
save
orange
yourself
box
the
for
misery.
like $2.
Hold on.
$2
We got a
all of
different
it.
problem. We got a different problem.
What happened?
For the people that are not watching this on YouTube, Dan literally just leaned forward and put his face in his hands.
What I do now, Dan?
No, it's not you.
I
It's
think the
you.
problem is me.
I want to talk. So
Oh.
yield. Listen, I appreciate first of all jumping on using Ender Phoenix's referral code. So Ender gets a 1,000 XP as we're wrapping up the season. It's a wonderful thing, Matt. What are you laughing at? I want to know what you're laughing at. I want to know if you.
I
picked up a look at
certainly didn't give him a referral code.
But no, you don't have to, because when you go on, you just pick the user who guided you there. There's no more referral. You don't need the referral code. What I'm laughing at is, do you know what his listed game is for playing right now?
Skull and Bones.
Lego 2K Drive.
That's not a bad game.
No, it's just there's just something about all this discussion about the newbies, the this and 2K Drive's is listed playing game.
That's what
There's
I'm
something
playing
about
right
that just made my brain break.
I thought you were gonna pick on me because I was picking on Half-Life.
Oh no, we just ignore comments like that. They're just
Ray,
bad taste.
Ray-
Bug supporters don't get.
Ray, just know as you're going through the orange box, the cake is a lie.
No. There was cake at the end. See now
I'm
that's what I'm not
glad
understanding.
you
That's what I'm not
acknowledge this,
understanding.
Ray.
There is cake.
There is cake.
Everybody's out there spreading this lie that the cake is a lie, but the cake is there. Whether or not
the
you were
cake's
going
there.
to get a cake can be up for discussion.
But it's there. So like all these back alley writings on the wall, the cake is a lie and all that stuff. I saw the cake.
I
Not
saw
the flavor
cake.
I would like, but I saw it.
I saw the
It's
cake
there.
as well. Funny story, I'll tell you guys this. My daughter, who's now 15, a couple years ago, I was playing Portal, and as I was playing Portal, she walked over, she asked me what I was playing, and I kept telling her the cake is a lie, and she didn't know what it meant. So this went on for like 4 months, and she kept getting increasingly frustrated. She was like, "Tell me why the cake's a lie." And I was like, "The cake is just a lie." And then I randomly called like 20 of my friends, and I was like, "Listen, I just got a question for you. I'm trying to prove something to my daughter." They're like, "Okay." I'm like, "What is the cake?" And they all responded with, "The cake is a lie." And my daughter kept losing her mind. She's like, "Why is the cake a lie?" I'm like, "You got to play the game to find out."
That's the equivalent of torturing your daughter with like the Marathon Man, where just like, is it safe? Just keep asking, is it safe? Is it safe? Never answer. Never answer. Just keep doing it. Drive her nuts. It's
Dan,
wonderful.
do I see a puppy over your behind your left shoulder? You're muted.
She is lurking, and mom has just returned home from the theater, so she is.
I just saw like this puppy just crawl in. All right, so Matt exploiting his links for 1000 XP. Matt, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm never ashamed of myself. Not since 1999, right, Dan?
Why should he be ashamed of himself?
Yeah, listen. It's the end of season 7. You gotta get those last battle pass actions in, and then season 8 starts off. This will be the kind of finishing up because we started with season 0. It's been 2 strong years. So anybody who thinks this is going away, it's not. This isn't. I said my tirade earlier about venture capitalist backed ridiculousness, and like Ray, I don't know how many sites, Ray, we've seen come and go that are trying to do the same thing. That like we keep tabs on the ones that have been there and they're gone the next day, and like they come up, they're all flashy, like, oh, we've got all this and that, and then like they're gone 3 weeks later because we're building it from scratch.
You say that, but the funny thing is, I just got offered $50,000 like 2 weeks ago for the trademark for Proven Gamer.
Go get that money. Go get that money.
Some Japanese.
50 grand. That's a starting point, Tricky. Don't give into that.
Some Japanese companies launching a company, and they wanted Prove a Gamer, and I own the trademark for it. So might be
Raise
going
those numbers.
Might be going down to legal battle soon. All right, so let's wrap up the show. We're hitting that 2-hour mark. Let's do some shout outs. We'll start with Yield. Your shout out, sir.
Shout out to our guest tonight. I joined, and now I just gotta figure my way around the site.
Figure out what to do.
Listen, there's a start menu. It'll show you some of the sites in there. It's going to go down.
Hit the green button.
The site goes down in 89,908 seconds, but it will be back up on Monday around noon.
So shout out to Matt, Tricky, and Alex for recording tonight. And that'll be it this week. Keep it short.
All right, Alex, your shout outs.
Give a shout out to the listeners, our awesome community, the fuel to the fire of the Trophy Horrors. Again, I can't believe we have made it this long on the podcast. It can only be done with your all support. Actually, at work, we have a whiteboard, and every month they ask a different question. They said, share a fact about you that would surprise most people. And I put on there this month that I co-host a podcast that has over 600 episodes, and everybody who's seen it asked me about it. So because of you all, we continue to thrive. So thank you all very much for your continued support. Shout out to Tricky, Yield, and Matt as always, and to our guest host from Channel 3, Ray and Dan. Thank you all very much for coming on and sharing your opinions on some of the latest news in the industry, as well as letting us know what Channel 3 is all about. Appreciate your all's time, especially here on this, as we move past midnight on Easter Sunday. Last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hun. She's actually trying to go sleep now over my shoulder as it is. But yeah, that's going to do it for me.
Just let her know I won't let you steal her idea. Matt, your shout out, sir.
Shout out Alex, Yield, Tricky. Thanks for moving the show to tonight so that way we didn't record on Easter Sunday. Shout out to Ashley for letting Alex record as she's trying to go to sleep. Shout out to Dan and Ray. Guys, thank you for jumping on the show this week as we changed our normal schedule and, really wanted to get the message out there. I try to shout it out every week, but you guys, you and Joel and the other librarians do so much work behind the scenes to make Channel 3 the success that it is. I just wanted you guys here and celebrate it, and you certainly did that. So I appreciate that. And shout out to my wife, V. Thank you for everything you do on and off the show.
Dan, your shout out, sir.
And my shout outs, first of all, you guys, thank you for having us on. And again, like Matt's been trying to make this happen for a while, but Sunday nights at 7 are not easy for either of us with smaller children. that can be a little rough. So appreciate all of you for letting us on for a very late night recording, which is fine for us because neither of us sleep, so we're perfectly content like that. But thank you for that. Shout out to again, Joel Willis is the person who really started this whole thing, and we're just here supporting and kind of continuing to put it all together there with him. So just appreciate him for everything he does there. And there was something else. I had something good, but I don't remember what it was. It was going to be something brilliant. And whatever, I'm out. Thank you guys.
Ray, your shout out, sir.
Shout out to all of you. I really appreciate being on the show here and doing this and having a place that I can rant about things and give opinions on. So I mean, this was so much fun. I really enjoyed doing this. And this is a special shout out from both myself and Dan. A shout out to Mario Wonder for just doing an amazing job with that game. That's
What?
from me and Dan.
You know
Especially
what?
From Dan. Shout out to Mario Wonder.
You're
Great
never.
game. Don't get me wrong. Great game.
You're never allowed on the show again, Ray. No, I'm joking. I want to give a shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to the Goddess. Shout out to Sweet Mama D. Shout out to Dan and Ray thanks for coming on. Glad we finally able to get you guys on the show. Shout out to Yield and Alex, and shout out to everybody that listened. And if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
Later.
All hail Megatron.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.